Hey, Brendan. Chris Jones was able to strip the ball from Lamar Jackson a couple times the other night. Was just wondering, was this just a case of him taking advantage of what was in front of him? Or is there been any kind of emphasis for him that this is the next frontier for him, if you will?
Well, I think he did a great job of taking advantage of the opportunities he had. The one play was a really nice play in terms of pursuit and being relentless as Lamar was scrambling, and I thought a pretty aware play on that one to get the ball out. I thought it was a great play by Mike Dana as well, trying to bat the ball back in as it was on the sideline. Unfortunately, we didn't come up with it, but really great play on both counts. I thought the second one in the 2-minute drill was a perfect execution of something we work at a ton in terms of securing the quarterback with the inside arm at the hip and then coming wide and outside for the strip. And, we do a lot of drill work on that. It comes up occasionally, but he executed it to perfection on that particular snap. So just a good job of working stuff that we try to work in practice each day.
Let's go next to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Good afternoon, Coach. I know we've asked you about these guys a few times, but they're in their first year. So just curious about Wharton, and then you mentioned him, Dana, and now what you've seen in these first couple of games.
Well, I continue to be impressed and encouraged by them. They work hard. They have continued to improve, each day. They have very slowly, I would say, added to their role, if you will. Some versatility. You can see them growing in terms of confidence in their knowledge and their understanding of what we're asking them to do. So it's still very encouraging and fun to watch. And I hope that continues to go in that direction. These two guys, I think, have got a chance to help us.
We've got 3 hands up. We'll go Sam, Sarin, and then Robert to close us out. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Coach. Wanted to ask you a little bit about Frank Clark. I mean, obviously a guy that plays that position gets judged a lot based on sack numbers, but how would you just evaluate his willingness and execution of the other plays, the ones that don't have him chasing down the quarterback?
Yeah, he's done a nice job for us in a number of areas that you don't necessarily measure in the stat sheet. He did a really nice job through the course of last week in terms of technique and the discipline that we needed to play, the run game that Baltimore presents you with. New England's got a number of those issues as well that we're going to have to do a good job with again this week. He's been really good in terms of some of the scheme things that we've done and some of the different calls that we've given him to execute. Done a nice job learning those, getting the communication on the field, having a little bit of versatility to what we're asking him to do, which I think has helped us as a defense. So I give him a lot of credit there.
Let's go next to Sarin Petro.
Coach, the big play, the fun play, right, was Eric Fisher catching the ball in the game. The guys talked on the offensive side about, working that a few times. I finally got from Fisher that they ran it about 3 times in practice. What I'm curious is, how do you guys do that as a coaching staff? Does Coach Reed say, hey, this is coming up? Or is it, you have no idea what's going on over on the defensive side, so it's a genuine reaction and you guys are actually getting a chance to kind of practice against some of the misdirection stuff that Andy Reid, the offensive side, so good at calling up?
In terms of practice, there's a couple of different ways that comes up. There's, certain points of the year and certain periods where, it's offense versus defense. It's a competitive situation. Neither side knows what's coming. There's also periods in practice, specifically as you get into game plan, where one side is servicing the other. And so, there's a card presented or a particular look that's presented, and, the offense, determines kind of what they want that to look like if it's their emphasis, and vice versa on the defensive side. So there's a couple of different ways there. I think it's good experience. I like to sit and practice and watch our offense run things. And there's certain things that come up and I look at, and I've got guys next to me and say, well, if they did that to us, we would have to do this, or that would trigger the defensive end to have to take that, or whatever the case may be. Just good football conversation going on through the course of practice. But it is fun to watch them in practice and see what they're working on.
And did it work? Was there a time that they ran it on you didn't know it was coming in, and did it work against you guys?
I think that when I believe they've run it mainly on service periods where, they had the look, and defensively we weren't necessarily coaching that play up the way we would. That play, though, in particular, it's important from a defensive standpoint. Anytime teams go tackle over or bring an extra offensive lineman in the game or change who's eligible in those situations, it makes it difficult defensively. And the critical thing is to get the communication from the officials of actually which jersey number is the eligible guy. Is it the new guy coming in? Is it somebody that was already in the game? Like, it can be confusing and difficult to adjust to at times, which is why offenses do it.
We'll ask to Robert Rimson. Go ahead, Robert.
Hey, Coach. So it was Mike Pennel's first game back. What did you see from him? What good did you see, and what are some things he can continue to work on headed into New England?
Mike did a nice job for us. He came back through the course of the week. I was really impressed with how he handled the time off. Physically, he was in good shape, brought a lot of energy to practice. It was great to have him out there. I thought that carried over into the game on the sideline. He was very engaged. He was dialed in. He gave us something from an attitude standpoint. I thought he did a really nice job, particularly in the downhill run game, playing the double teams that Baltimore gave us. He'll continue to develop and increase his role. Some of the flat zone schemes, I think he'd tell you there's a couple of those that he could play a little bit better. But I was really pleased with what we got out of him, and I think he's going to continue to contribute in a positive way for us.
Coach Daly, we appreciate your time today. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.